Why are we the only species that can actually betray our own minds? Seriously, think about that for a second. A bird doesn't just wake up and choose to forget how to fly. A plant doesn't suddenly decide, you know what, I'm going to stop turning toward the sun today. And yet we human beings regularly, actively sabotage our own ultimate survival tool, which is our rational consciousness. Well, today we are unraveling this core mystery by exploring the groundbreaking work of Nathaniel Branden.
Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're looking at the psychology of self-esteem. Now, right off the bat, I want to be clear. This isn't your typical feel-good pop psychology kind of thing. We're going to take a really fascinating journey into the biological imperatives of the human mind, and we're getting down to the absolute root of human motivation, fear, and ultimate joy.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The choice to think. 2. Anatomy of self-esteem. 3. The price of evasion. 4. The trap of pseudo-self-esteem. And finally, 5. The reward of romantic love. Basically, we're charting a course from the actual hardware of the mind straight to ultimate fulfillment. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the choice to think, the foundation of human survival. You see, unlike a beating heart or a breathing lung, which just do their thing automatically, our conceptual mind, it doesn't. It absolutely requires a pilot. We all have a fundamental choice to make every single day. On one side, we have focus. This is the continuous, volitional choice to expand your awareness, aim at true understanding, and confront reality head-on. On the flip side, we have evasion. That's shrinking your awareness, seeking out a fog or some kind of mental blankness, and flat out refusing to see what's right in front of you. This single choice, to focus your mind or to evade reality, is literally the core of human free will. Now, when we do choose to focus, there's this lightning-fast psychological process that happens. You perceive an object, your subconscious immediately evaluates it based on your chosen values, and boom, instantly, you feel an emotion. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here, emotions don't just magically tell us what's true or false in the world. They are strictly derivatives of our own rational or sometimes irrational premises. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of Self-Esteem. Think of this as the operating system of the mind. And let's just strip away the cultural myths right now. This is not about unearned compliments in the mirror or empty buzzwords. To truly get this, we really need to ground ourselves with a heavy but super important definition: psychoepistemology. I know it's a total mouthful, but it's essentially the study of the nature of and the relationship between our conscious goal-setting operations and the subconscious automatic operations of our mind. Basically, mental health is judged by how well our mind performs its biological function, which is apprehending reality. A healthy mind is in clear cognitive contact with facts. So for us, that means mental health isn't about always feeling happy. It's entirely about how accurately you are perceiving the reality around you. So how does that actually create self-esteem? Well, it's built on 2 completely inseparable pillars. On the left side, we have a sense of efficacy. That is the real confidence in your competence to live and to think. On the right side, we have a sense of worth. That's the deep conviction that you are a good person, worthy of living and totally worthy of happiness. You cannot have authentic self-esteem without both of these. And the catch is, they're earned only through an indomitable will to understand. But what happens when we just refuse to understand? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the price of evasion. What happens when we betray our minds? When we sacrifice our rationality to fear, and we just constantly evade, we trigger something called repression. This is a subconscious, automatic avoidance reaction that outright forbids certain ideas, memories, or evaluations from ever entering our conscious awareness. It completely straitjackets our cognitive efficacy. I like to think of it as an involuntary alarm system that actively blocks out painful truths, simply because we've programmed our own minds to hide from reality. And this self-betrayal leads directly to 2, quite frankly, terrifying states. On one side, we have pathological anxiety. This is that overwhelming, seemingly causeless anticipation of the destruction of your own ego or mind. It is a vital, flashing alarm signal of self-betrayal. Anxiety is basically your mind screaming, "I am in danger." On the other side is neurotic depression. This is a tragic, passive resignation to the accomplished loss of values. If anxiety is a scream, depression is a whimper saying, "I have already been defeated." Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, the trap of pseudo-self-esteem, faking efficacy and worth. See, when authentic self-esteem collapses, people usually don't just throw their hands up and give up. Instead, they desperately try to fake an efficacy they haven't actually earned. They turn to these irrational defense values to create a mere illusion of worth. And this creates a trap that Branden calls social metaphysics. This is the psychological syndrome of holding the minds of other people, and notably not objective reality, as your ultimate frame of reference. The tragic result here? You replace a reliable universe of objective facts with a terrifying, entirely unpredictable universe of other people's opinions.
And we see this play out in the real world through four main archetypes. First, you have the conventional. That's the conformist who just blindly adopts society's values so they can fit in. Second is the power seeker. Think of the dictator who deals with their intense internal fear by trying to dominate and manipulate everybody else. Third is the spiritual. The religious fanatic who claims they're just, too good for this material world. And finally, the independent. This is the fake rebel or nihilist whose entire identity is literally just reacting against what other people think. Every single one of these are highly destructive ways people try to escape the heavy responsibility of intellectual independence.
Ultimately, the whole thing comes down to a really stark contrast in motivation. A person who has authentic self-esteem is motivated by love. They are driven by confidence and a profound love for existence itself. The social metaphysician, on the other hand, the one relying on those defense values, they are fundamentally motivated by fear. They're driven by terror and this exhausting, endless need for safety. Simply put, you are either running toward life or you are running away from your own mind. Okay, let's step out of that trap and into the light for our climax today. Section 5, the reward of romantic love, the ultimate user experience. For a psychologically healthy, self-esteemed person, productive work and romantic love represent the absolute peak of human life. And it all starts with something called the Mutnick principle, which is this wonderful concept of psychological visibility. Branden actually named this after a super relatable anecdote where he was playfully boxing with his own little fox terrier named Mutnick. He noticed that because the dog responded appropriately to his playful intention, Branden felt seen. And on a really profound human level, we desperately need that. We need a mirror for the soul. We experience deep self-awareness by seeing our own inner values objectively reflected back at us through the appropriate reactions of another human consciousness. And that reflection reaches its absolute peak in romantic love. As Branden puts it so perfectly, romantic love involves the most intense expression and objectification of one's self-value. Sex is an act of celebration, a tribute to himself and the woman he has chosen. True romantic and sexual happiness, they aren't about some blind, needy dependency. No, they're the ultimate celebration of your own hard-earned self-esteem and your shared love for existence. So as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with this final, pretty provocative question. Do you live in a universe of facts, or do you live in a universe of people? Do you rely on your own mind to grasp objective reality, or do you find yourself surrendering your consciousness to the fleeting opinions of the crowd? I challenge you today to relentlessly pursue the truth, to never ever abandon your will to understand, and to go out and build that authentic self-esteem. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep thinking for yourself.